Hello, and welcome to the Venue Coach Blueprint for Owners. I'm Kyle Labar. This podcast is all about helping you fill your wedding venue with more bookings, earn more from each one, and keep your customers happy for a long time. We'll also talk about some tough times and big lessons that I've learned along the way. Let's dive in together and make your venue the best spot for weddings.
Well, right now we're actually tracking how many people actually book same day.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not high, it's a big decision. And
I actually don't know that percentage. Do you know it offhand?
I don't know it offhand. It's been...
My thought was that it's like 30% of our bookings or less are that, but I could be wrong.
So just looking at last month,
Mm-hmm.
I had 3 book on the same day.
Oh, so you had, because you had 6 bookings last month, so that's actually 50%.
Yeah, 50% there.
What about February?
The other one was, I had 3 same day.
Okay, so that's 30%. That's closer to what I thought it was.
And 2 more within 2 days.
Okay.
So, it's pretty decent.
It's pretty good.
Actually, we should talk about January because it's pretty...
Well, January is different because we had the open house as well, and so we had 4 book on the spot from that. But it's just a different vibe and everything like that.
Yeah, but then I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more book same day that month.
Oh, wow. So,
and then I had 7 book the next day.
7 additional?
Yeah.
Oh, so like all of January was either day of or the next day.
Days. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
That was wild.
That is wild. So 9 out of 16 is whatever that is. 56%. So actually, the conversion of that, if we just do a little bit of fancy math here, you had 3 and then 3, so another 6. Sorry guys, we're doing math today. So 15 out of 31 booked on the same day. So 48%. So that's actually really good, Kel. Half of our tours convert. Almost half of our tours convert the same day. So how is that happening?
You know what? I'm magical.
Well, there's something.
You know what? Because of my lack of sales history coming into this, I still don't feel super confident. But what I do feel confident is what I'm offering. I know that I'm going to provide the best day, and I know that I am being completely honest when I say, I always tell everyone I'm a yes ma'am.
Yes ma'am, yeah.
It's yes. Like the majority of the time, 99% of the time, I'm going to say yes. Yeah. Now, obviously, we have some standards in place, and no, we don't allow the biodegradable confetti outside anymore.
Tried that, hate it.
It takes a year, so I can't do that. But beyond a lot of things, I say yes a ton. And so
what's the craziest thing you've said yes to?
Well, it didn't happen, but I did tell people, yes, you can land your helicopter in the field if you'd like. I don't know if that wedding hasn't happened or if they didn't end up doing it. I can't remember who it was, but.
Oh, that's wild. Well, didn't we have like a bull machine?
Oh yeah, we did have a bull riding machine in the backyard.
And then at the villa, there's someone who's going to ride their horse through the venue.
Through the venue. Mm-hmm.
And I said yes to that one.
Yeah. We did test. We had to do a test to make sure that it wasn't going to break any of our tiles, but.
Right. But yeah, that was
I'd say we're pretty good at making those dreams come true. One of the villa brides has a beer burro coming to provide beer to the people outside during cocktail hour.
Mhm.
That'll be fun. Anyway.
Yeah. So anyway, sidetrack,
so back to the thing. So
how are you getting them to convert 50% of the time, effectively? On the spot.
Most of the time, it's the venue. But I did have a couple tell me the other day, we booked because of you. We booked because we knew that you were committed to making it good. That made me feel good. That was the first time I'd really ever heard that specifically, like you were a huge part of us booking.
Yeah.
So to close them, I suppose I usually
walk us through the closing.
So at the end of the tour, we go through the building and then we do ceremony. Because a lot of, it has happened where people do not want a ceremony there. They want to get married in church, or they want to. Yeah. So I make sure I ask that question. Are you wanting to have a ceremony on site? And that also opens up to charge more if we're in that section of charging more, if we're testing that out. So right now, starting April, I'm charging more for the chapel.
Okay.
And so I'm going to say, okay, are you wanting a ceremony, first of all? Second of all, are you leaning more towards an indoor or outdoor ceremony?
Uh-huh.
And so it kind of segues into me saying, okay, well, the chapel is more. Anyway, back on track. So after we go through and do the complete tour, I invite them to sit down at a table, and I provide them with a couple of albums that they can thumb through. That's also when I present the gift.
Okay. And so you do the album, the gift, you're sitting down.
Yeah, we're sitting down. We're just going to have a conversation. What did you think? Do you like it? What don't you like?
Mm-hmm.
We talk about the dates that they're wanting. I pull out my calendar, make sure, that it's available or something around there is available. Oh, this date isn't available. Would you consider this? And usually if they're like, yes, we would consider something like, switching dates, then the probability of them choosing us goes up.
Right.
Some people come in and they're like, we have a very specific date. This is what we want. And I say, I'm so sorry. Best of luck finding
it. Right. Yeah, especially a Saturday, October, 6 months away.
Right.
And anywhere worth going.
Exactly. So, anyway, if they're willing to kind of bend to dates, then we go through that, and then typically it gets even better when they say, I think I would choose X date. Or this one would work. If they're like, narrow it down to one date, it's usually a given that they're like, yep, this is it.
Okay. And so once they're saying things like that, how do you transition to the close where you get them to commit and do the deposit and all of that?
I say, are you ready to book? Is
just straight up.
Straight up. What's up?
Well, I mean, that's the whole point of the tour.
Kind of build that rapport, like where you,
right.
Like I'm a pretty, I don't know the word to use. I like to joke around, make light of things and do dumb jokes and make people laugh.
Mm-hmm.
Jason would always say, I would bring him to the chapel while he was working to tour, and he's like, all I do is look over and see you guys all laughing. I was like, yeah, make a joke. I'm telling people that you're hating your life right now for building the chapel. Anyway, but then it's like, it's easy for me to say and to be a little brash about it because that's my personality. And they've already experienced it. So, it's, are you ready to book? And I still feel a little uneasy saying it, but I know it's what needs to be said. And so then if they're like, well, we have another one to look at, which is very, 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 very common for them to say.
So how do you overcome that? Because clearly you're overcoming it enough.
I honestly don't always give a ton of pushback on that one because I get it.
Yeah.
And again, it's going back to what you believe. And I believe that a lot of people need to see more venues. They need to see what their options are to see how.
Well, it's a big decision and an expensive decision.
And I say that. I say, I understand that this is a huge decision for you to make. I would recommend, especially if they're date specific or if I only have one Saturday left in that month or whatever it may be, I always try to rope in the date hold deposit.
Okay.
So if I don't feel like they're really going to close on it, then I offer the date hold, which is a $250 date hold that lasts for 7 days. It's refundable. And I just say, hey, we have this date hold that locks your date in for 7 days. If you end up wanting to book, it applies to your deposit. If you end up not wanting to book, then we refund it as long as you let us know within that 7 days.
Nice. And
so that's something else that we've started to track as well.
Yeah, so I was going to ask that. What's the conversion on doing the date hold deposit?
So last month I had 3 date holds out of the 6, all 3 booked.
Okay. And it looks like
February was 5 date holds, 3 booked.
Uh-huh.
And January was 3 date holds, 2 booked.
Okay. And then it looks like November was 2, both booked. October 2, both booked. And September you had 1. That's when we really kind of started it. And that one booked. So what's that total? It's 3, 5, 8.
Oh, you guys are mathing again.
Yeah, we're mathing again. 13, 16?
No, there's 17 total, and 1, 2, 3. 3 did not book.
Okay, so 14 out of 17?
Mm-hmm.
So 82%, if they do that's so huge. If you get them to do a date hold deposit, you get them to book 82% of the time. Now that's a small data set, right? 17 isn't huge, but it's not nothing either. And so like that alone is just a strong tool to use to up your conversion rate.
Right. Well, and one of mine that I really thought, the last one that didn't book after the date hold, I was like, okay, what can I do better? And that's when I started texting.
What do you mean?
That's the one that I reached out and I said, hey, I saw this pin on Pinterest and I thought of you.
Oh,
so
okay.
I kept that conversation going.
Yeah.
The other 2 after that were within 1 or 2 days. And so the conversation wasn't needed, but this one in particular took 6 days to get back to me to confirm.
Yeah.
And
Good.
so it was like, okay, well, I think it was after 2 days, I reached out and I said, hey, here are these cute pins. And then I did it one more time. So I had 2 things. And so the first one was a pin from Pinterest. The second one was, hey, I'm thinking about having my husband make these pedestals for the chapel. Is it something that you would use? And so it placed herself in the space.
Yeah.
And what her ideas were. And so I think it was that day actually, maybe the next day, that she was like, hey, we're booking.
Awesome. So it sounds like the key to getting A, more bookings, and B, more on the spot is building rapport at the beginning. And so getting in tune with them and what they're wanting so that you can build the vision around the venue throughout the tour. And then letting them know that you're going to be there to help them throughout the whole process and on the big day. And then lastly, just being in contact with them, not so much like it's the soft sell, right? So texting them about the Pinterest board isn't like, hey, book with us, even though it is, but it's also just you remembered and you're genuinely looking out for them, that sort of thing. And so then they feel more like you're involved with it.
Yeah, they feel valued. They feel like I really care, and I do.
And you do.
I do. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Kelly, this has been great. And I actually didn't know the date hold conversion off the top of my head, or the same day conversion. So that was actually, I thought it was like 33% of them converted on the same day. So that's really something. And so I hope for the listeners that this has been very insightful and helpful to get someone else's perspective, because it's just been me and my experiences and doing the tours and everything like that. And so my hope is that, what's that?
Am I your first guest?
You are. Well, you're my first owner guest or manager guest. So I had another guest recently who was a friend who was sharing his and his fiance's story of finding their venue a couple years ago.
Okay.
And oddly enough, there's a lot of overlap between what they experienced and why they booked their venue and what we're trying to accomplish. So I think the next guest is going to be Jen, and I'm going to get her experience as a bride-to-be and not as the manager, and then probably interview her as the manager later.
Nice. Yeah,
So,
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Can't wait to hear what she says about me.
I know. Well, I'll remind her that she's being recorded. For those of you who don't know, Jen is our manager at the villa, so she's great. But
Jen was our bride first.
She booked at the Black Oak and then became our manager after at the villa. That was just wild. So, anyways, well, I hope this has been helpful, and I hope that something like anybody listening can use some of this or any of it to just make your tours better. And honestly, it won't work if you're not sincere. You know, if you don't actually provide the service that we're talking about, like caring about your brides and your couples and their families and all of that, if you are just in it to make a buck, you can say it, but it'll eventually come out that you're not who you say you are. And so this is for those who are sincere, I think. And so before we go, Kelly, do you have any other parting words of wisdom that you'd like to leave for the listeners?
Parting words of wisdom. Yeah, I think you nailed it. I think being sincere is like a huge thing. I was telling somebody the other day that I don't vibe with everybody.
Yeah.
And it's like I can get along with most. But I've had in all the weddings that we've had so far, there have been 2 specifically that I have not really enjoyed their company or their families, and it was tough. And this last one that I had, I just needed the day to be over. And it's not that they were being, it's not that it was terrible. I just did not vibe with them, and I felt I didn't like the way that I felt, because I felt like they were taking advantage. And sometimes I allow myself to be in that position because I want their day to be so perfect. But this time it was at my own expense, which is not great. Like, we should all be in a position where it's a win-win-win for everyone. Yeah. And this one did not bode well for me. So I had to take a step back and just realize how to not take that kindly the next time, and to put different things in place to protect myself, I guess. Right. And that was fine, but I got through it. It came and it went. She thanked me in the end, and everything was fantastic, and it was a beautiful day. But I don't know where I was going with that, but like, you're not going to always vibe, but you do have an obligation to create a perfect day for them. Yeah. And don't sit in your office. Be involved. It helps. It goes a long way. And it gets you lots and lots of. That too. I tell my couples that as well. I'm like, just so you know, our conversations don't end. Whether you use me for a day of coordinating or however involved you want the venue to be, like, I want to be your source of information and contact. Like, this is your first time doing this. You're a newbie.
Yeah.
I've done this a lot.
Right.
And so if you need help, if you need advice, if you need somebody to run ideas off of, let me be your person. I know this venue better than literally anyone else. And I know the vendors. And if you have a problem with a vendor, like, I'm happy to step in. So we want to be involved. We want to know what's going on so that the day goes smooth.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and really that goes back to the heart of it, of making sure that they know that we're not going to forget about them once they give us their money. We're in business and we want to make money, but at the end of the day, we're in business because of them. And so we can't forget about our clients and our guests, and we take care of them, they take care of us.
Mm-hmm. Win-win.
So, yeah, win-win. All right. Well, everyone, this has been a treat. Thank you so much, Kelly, for hopping on and sharing your experiences. And I'm sure we'll have you on more in the future. But with that, I will let you get going. I know you got to get some stuff done for the venue, and so I won't keep you any longer. But thank you so much. And for everybody listening, I will catch you on the next one.
Thanks, Kyle.